The sun decided to make a brief appearance here on what will probably be my last day in Umphang. So I have once again fired up the GoPro. I'm going to hop on my scooter and go for a little bit of a drive and maybe a walk. I'm not quite sure where I'm going. So everything from this point forward is going to be a surprise for me and for you. So here are the current weather conditions. As you can see, it's pretty sweet. Even got some actual sunshine over there. And then you look up at the sky, well, we've got our friendly rain clouds, but a little bit of blue over there and a ton of blue over there. So when you see blue sky, you do not mess around. You go out and enjoy it while it's here. There's this stream right outside of my guest house. Right there. A lot of rain fell last night, so it's running pretty heavy. Oh, and there's a little pathway. Running beside it. I thought I could zip along here, but yeah, way too much mud in that direction. No point going that way and getting covered in mud. Brakes on the scooter are a little bit squeaky right now. Stops happening after a few minutes of riding. Yeah, there you can see just how fast the water is flowing down the river here. Wonder what's going on in Mesot, whether the flood control system there is filled with water again or not. And there's the scenery just outside my guest house. As you can see, it's very rural, becomes very rural very quickly. And I've never gone down this road to the right. So let's do that just to see where it goes. Bunch of houses quietly nestled back here. It's kind of cool. A lot of these houses can be surprisingly big. You know, like this little house here. I mean, it's a big place. You see a lot of these large houses in the countryside. Looks like the road dead ends. Yeah, look at that house as well. Big, beautiful wooden house. I guess that's as far as I can go in this direction. And my vague idea for this little day trip is actually to climb up into that hill that I can see, or you can see right in front of us. Hey there, Poochie. Yeah, you don't get a good view of it right now, but there's a hill just over there. And I think should be able to climb up there on the scooter, find out. And there's actually an airfield over there, the Umphang Airstrip, the airport. I didn't even know there was an airport here, but there is an airport over there, or more accurately, just an airstrip. And that's what I'm going to go take a look at and then try to climb up into the hills. When I tried to leave Umphang in the other direction to go into the river valley, as I said, there are some COVID-19 health checks and barriers there. And they have the road blockaded. You're not allowed to, outsiders are not allowed to go into the river valley right now. But I'm not sure whether I'm able to go up into those hills or not. I'm going to find out in a minute. All right, how does one get to this airport road? Actually, the airport access road might be right in front of us here. The post office is here, and this road looks like it leads to the airstrip. Maybe. Or maybe not. Yeah, that doesn't go anywhere. This must be it here. All right, what is going on up here? Ah, very cool. This is the airstrip right here. Look at that. It's essentially a road but it's on a long piece of cleared flat ground. And I guess in an emergency, they could land an airplane here or helicopters. But if you look on the map, on Google Maps, satellite view or map view, this is listed as the airfield. I thought maybe it would be paved, but no, it's not paved at all. It is very smooth. I'm riding at some speed on the scooter, and on a dirt road, normally this would be banging, crashing quite a bit. But this is really smooth. Look at these big guys. Let's stop and take a closer look at them. Hey there, buddies. They're on the other side of a fence here. I wonder if it's electric, because that one wire wouldn't hold back these guys. And I'm not about to touch the wire to find out whether it's electrified or not. I've seen too many YouTube videos in my life to try that. All right, my airport buddies. Yeah, this is really cool. As I said, it's such a smooth ride. And to feel something this smooth when you're on dirt road is kind of unusual. So that's clearly been leveled at some point with heavy equipment. They're keeping it relatively flat. And does this bring us to the end? So this would be the end of the airstrip. There it is back behind us, with off on the left there, just out of view, I think, is the Doi Hua Mod viewpoint. So that's where I was the other day when I shot the time lapse, looking down from the top of those hills. Let's see where this road goes. It's not an airstrip anymore. Now it's turned into a road. So yeah, things suddenly got a lot more bumpy. And something on this scooter is, oh boy. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further. Look at that. This pathway flooded. And if I absolutely had to go somewhere, I mean, of course I could get through that, but no point putting myself through that if I don't need to. Nice view though. Look at that. Is that a cornfield or sugarcane field up there? Yeah, let's go back this way again where it was nice and smooth. Beautiful day, beautiful scenery. Look at that. So nice. I'll stop for a minute just to say hi to these guys again. If you don't spend a lot of time on farms, one thing you might not know is that cows can be incredibly curious animals. I don't know if these ones are, but in Canada, if you go to a field and hang out there where there's a bunch of cows, they're incredibly curious about you. And if you sit there unmoving for a while, after 5 or 10 minutes, all the cows will come from all corners of the field and come stand in a circle around you and just watch you to see what it is you're doing. Really interesting animals that way. I used to live in this small cabin, what they call a teacherage, in the Rocky Mountains for a while. It was basically just a shack, no electricity, no running water, just a shack. And I had a car there, kind of an old broken down Toyota, and I was often working on the engine. So I'd have the hood open, I'd be working on the engine, trying to clean something or track down a short circuit in the electrical system. And I'm involved in what I'm doing. Next thing I know, I look up, I've got 3 cows standing in a circle around me, watching me, trying to look into the hood and see what it is I'm working on. And you wouldn't expect that kind of intelligence or curiosity from a cow, but yeah, they really do behave that way. If you have a house with windows looking out onto a pasture and you have cows, they will even walk right up to the house and look into the window to see what you're doing in the house. Well, let's follow this all the way to the end. See what happens at this end of the airstrip. Yeah, I was wondering whether this field could be used for sports, and it looks like they have something set up here. A couple of nets. So this could serve as a sport field. And where does this trail go? Ah, down to the highway. If I were walking, I would just continue on down there. I could do that on the scooter, but no reason to take the chance. There could be a ditch down there at the bottom, so I may end up being unable to get down to the road. So that was cool. I was not expecting this easy access to the airstrip at all. Look at that sky. Looks like if I wanted to leave, say at 10 o'clock in the morning, I could have ridden back to Mesot. Would have had a nice day for it. I only need 5 or 6 hours for the trip. I'd probably do it in 4 if I rode fast. And there might have been a window of opportunity to do that today in this nice weather. And what is going on over here? No idea what this could be. No clue. I mentioned that I met another foreigner here in Umphang, a man from Switzerland, and he and I went to get a cup of coffee, had a little bit of a chat, and he explained to me something that was going on. I saw a bunch of activity, and I had no idea what was going on with that activity, and he explained it to me because he lives here, he speaks Thai, he knows people, and he was able to tell me what was going on. And I made the comment that it would be so good to have someone like him around, you know, to hang out with a guy like him, because as I wander around, all I do is ask questions. I never have any answers. I see a building and I wonder, what is that building? What's it for? What's it doing there? I see some people and I wonder, hey, who are those people? What are they doing? And everything I look at, all I'm doing is wandering around Thailand asking questions. I wonder what this is. I wonder what the purpose of this is. I wonder how this works. And I never ever find out the answer to any of these questions. So this is the actual entrance into Umphang itself. So if you're driving your car or scooter to Umphang, this is where you enter the town. And right there you can see the tent where they have the health screening and checkpoint. And it's also kind of interesting, they have a rest stop here. And I've never actually gone into the rest stop. They have signs pointing the way to this rest stop from far away, but I've never actually gone in to see what's actually here. Here's the entrance. And that right ahead of me is the road I want to follow up into the hills. Oh, look at this. It's actually a big area. So we've got some signs. So there are public toilets, a camping area, a guest house, and a highway office. I'm sure none of it is open, but let's go take a look. Highway office over here to my left. Oh, the bathrooms look to be open, public bathrooms. Okay, camping area and guest house. I had no idea this was here. Look at that. Huh. So look at this. They call this area here, this flat area, camping area. Whether you could stay here now, I highly doubt it. But maybe in other times, maybe it's even free. Is that what they mean by camping here? That you could actually set up a tent, sleep here overnight? And right ahead of me, there's a building with, looks like a very simple kind of lodging, like a guest house. Yeah, almost certainly that's what this is. So you could probably rent these rooms and stay here at night. Though, as with everything I come across in Thailand, even pre-pandemic, and now in the midst of the pandemic, everything always just seems to be deserted and abandoned. So I see things like this before, before the pandemic, and I would show up, be interested in a place, and there would be like nobody here, ever. So I never have anyone that I could ask questions. Look at this wagon over here. Very cool. So, mental note for the future for anyone coming to Umphang after the pandemic. If you don't mind roughing it a little bit and you're on a low budget, check out the The Rest Stop, you might be able to pitch a tent there for free and have access to bathrooms and water. It's really all you need in life, right? Water is the most important thing. And a bathroom is always nice. In fact, I could use a toilet right now, so I'm going to stop here and check out the facilities. And here's where the GoPro quick release mount comes into its own, because I wouldn't want to leave my GoPro on the scooter untended, so I just pop it off. Oop, and I carry it with me. I often forget that I'm wearing a helmet, which is kind of weird. You'd think you'd be kind of annoyed by it and be aware of it sitting on your head. But I found myself going up to food stalls and things, and I go through the whole transaction, chatting with the person, and I buy something. And then I go back to my scooter, and I realized I had my helmet on the whole time, and I didn't even know. So, the facilities. A sink and a faucet looks interesting, but that is the promise of water, not the reality. Let's see. Look at that. Water. Actual water. Huh. Better and better. And this is the section for man. Man. You have to say it that way. Man. Man is finished with the facilities. So yeah, nice. I don't see showers or anything like that, but you could take a bucket bath inside one of the toilet stalls. They always have a big pail of water and a scoop, and you could take a shower that way. Oh, interesting discovery, the Rest Stop. It's far larger and more kitted out than I expected. Yeah, you don't really need much more than that for camping, right? Shelter, you got your tent, you got water, and then you're pretty much good to go. Though the one thing, and this is something I've thought about a lot in my life, that I find difficult about camping is the lack of a chair. I've taken this thought to the extreme, and I've wondered whether the simple chair and table is the source of all civilization. Because the times that I've been camping, I can deal with everything, all the physical hardships, if you want to call them that, of camping. I'm fine with them all. I can sleep on the ground. I don't mind getting a little bit hot and dirty and sweaty, taking a bucket bath, bugs I can deal with. But the lack of a chair and a place to sit eventually breaks me down, and I can't take it anymore. I need a chair. To the point when I was planning a recent bike tour, I was looking at the kinds of foldable camp chairs that you can bring with you. I mean, if you're going car camping, of course, then it's fine. You just bring lawn chairs with you, right? Or a Winnebago or something. But if you're on a bike tour, you can't put a lawn chair on your scooter, but you can get these lightweight, or I mean, like on a bike tour. On a scooter, you could even put somewhat larger items, but on a bicycle, you got to keep your weight down. So you're looking for these very small, lightweight, foldable camp stools. And I've seen people that go around the world on their bicycles and they have these stools. And I think, man, that would be perfect. With one of those, I could camp out a lot more. I need some kind of a chair, and I really need a backrest, to be honest. So even a stool doesn't do it for me. But I've done this little thought experiment where I pictured the human race pre-civilization, and for whatever reason, no one ever invented the chair. Does that mean civilization would never ever start? Because you need to sit down, you need a workspace, you need to get comfortable to do anything. You're doing art, you're doing science, engineering, cooking, anything you need to do, you just need to sit down and have a workspace. And if you don't have a chair, you cannot be civilized. You cannot have sophisticated technology, art, music. All of that depends on the simple chair. That's my theory anyway. Since I'm in a rambling mood today, it appears to be I'm in a rambling mood, there's two other things I often think about, and I've talked about them in the past as well, but they sort of connect with this idea of adding a chair to your life if you're camping, can completely transform your experience, can make your life richer and more comfortable. And there's a couple other things, very simple things I think about from time to time. I've talked about this before, where I've noticed that as I travel around to different places, there is a tendency to never look up. And I've discovered that by not looking up, you miss a lot of things. And this thought has been rolling around in my head for the longest time. And it just struck me right now because I was standing here rambling about chairs and civilization. And the sound I was hearing, and I started to become more aware of the insect life and the trees. So I started to look up, and I just went, holy cow, look what's up there. And this is the view up there. Beautiful trees, gorgeous canopy all around. And by looking up, you suddenly see so much that I was missing by not looking up. And that holds true in nature, but it really holds true in urban environments as well. So I tried to train myself, especially in cities, as I'm walking around with my cameras, looking around, just being a typical doofus. And I would think, oh, don't forget to look up. And then you look up these buildings and just like, whoa, there's a whole world up there I wasn't aware of. Because the buildings, normal vision, you only see the first 2 floors, but there could be 20 more floors above it, or 5 more, rooftops, all kinds of interesting things up there. And you start looking up and suddenly you see, I don't know, 60% of the world that you weren't even aware of until you started looking up. One more, and that is when we travel around or even live our lives, I think we really neglect one of our senses. I'm very focused on cameras, so I'm very visual. I'm always looking at things, so I'm using my sense of sight. Of course, you smell things all the time. Food, cooking, flowers, the rain, you smell things. You hear things all the time. I can hear the insects from the trees creating this loud noise. I hear the traffic and the birds. That's all well and good. Taste, you're always trying new food everywhere you go. You're using your sense of taste. But what's missing is your sense of touch. I've noticed that as I wander around, I rarely make the effort to see what things feel like. And occasionally on trips I've taken, I've had this thought, just like, don't forget to look up. I'll tell myself, don't forget to see what things feel like. And then when I've experimented with that, I was surprised at the depth of my emotional response to using my sense of touch. So, for example, this tree here, I'm looking at it and I see all these parasitic plants growing on that tree. I can hear the insects in the tree. But now, if I go up to it and just take my hand, it's like feel it, like actually get in touch with it physically. It's a whole new sensation. It's like something that was lacking from my experience of this setting right now. So it's very cool. We've got this plant here. It's like, oh, okay. What if stiff and smooth? It's just a whole different sensation, and here there's some kind of a fungus, and I might normally take a picture of that, get out a camera, get a close-up, get some video, but I would never actually touch it. And in touching it, it's like, oh, that's what it feels like. And this fruit here, I don't know. It's not a huge thing, but I've done that from time to time, and I've actually enjoyed kind of using my sense of touch. You know, you got a bush here. Whoa! a katydid or a grasshopper was on my finger. That was embarrassing because I'm not usually a frightful person, but I think because I have the camera going, my reactions are like heightened. So it was just sort of like, whoa, because I could feel him. He really gripped my finger tightly. He had a tight grip. And I didn't know what that was. So there you go. You start touching things, you got to be prepared for the world to kind of touch you back. But yeah, just run your hands along these bushes. And it feels really cool. It's a sensation, you know, part of the experience of being here that you wouldn't normally get. And if I want to go completely off the rails with this, you might even imagine that you're starting to feel almost the heartbeat of certain things. I was trying to find a way into this area. Oh, here, we can sneak through here. Because I wanted to get closer to these trees, you know, the really big ones. Whoa, spider web, gotta be careful now. And look at this, the trunk of this tree. Very old, grizzled kind of creature, right? And that rough texture of the tree. Actually, this one is really damp and soft. So that's kind of new. This is really gushy, very spongy, which I wasn't expecting. But then if you hold your hand against something like this giant tree, you really get a sense for its scale and size. And you start wondering about any kind of a life force that's inside that tree, and can you feel it? Yeah, look at that. I was not expecting the softness of the bark. Water delivery guys. Another type of tree right here. And what does it feel like? Very hard and dry, very firm. Oh, this is interesting. I'm always aware. Oop, just walked through another spider web. I'm covered in spiders. This is a really nice example of I think they call them a spirit house in Thailand. I always thought of them as Buddhist shrines, almost like a Buddhist temple, a mini temple. But it's not that at all. They actually call them spirit houses, I believe. And they are built as a place for the spirits that live here on this land, like perhaps people from the past who used to live here and then passed away. Perhaps their spirit is still on this land, and this house kind of is an offering to them, gives them a place to live, some comfort, makes them happy so that these spirits don't bring bad luck to the people that live here. And all of the food, the offerings and drinks that people leave, and the flowers, they're all meant for the spirits to enjoy. And as they do, they will bring good luck, or at least not cause problems or bad luck for the people that live here now. I really like this one. This one, very rustic. And there's the interior. There's generally two figures in there, an older man and an older woman, who are representatives of the people that used to live here before, kind of respecting the elders, the grandmother and grandfather of the previous families that would live on this land. But there seems to be a bit of a looseness or a bit of flexibility in what kind of figures you can put in the spirit house and around it. Like here, there's a horse and an elephant. So yeah, spirit house. And looking up, look at this tree. Gorgeous. Wow. I think it's the same type of tree as this one over here, but I'm not sure about that. Let's give it the touch test and see if the bark is similar. No, actually down low it actually looks quite different. Oh yeah, soft and wet, you know, very gushy. So it must just be, perhaps, maybe it's younger. It's not quite as grizzled as that other tree, though it's equally as tall. That is a very tall tree. And then the other one over there. Okay. Let's run my hand along this bush. I like this one here. Also kind of a different feeling entirely. Crunchy leaves. A travel recommendation from Planet Doug. Engage your sense of touch, the neglected sense of life, maybe, and the neglected sense of travel. Yeah, I mean, these as well. Look at this plant here. I would normally take a look at it, take a picture of it, take a video of it, and move on. But man, it's really just crying out to be touched, right? Like, what does that feel like? Is it sharp? Yeah, it feels very much like a fan, you know, a Japanese fan. Feels almost like a stiff paper. All right, enough of that. Let's get back on the scooter and head into the hills.